So this particular piece is meant to sit up here on the child's shoulder, so it holds the shoulder strap to their back. It keeps it off their neck, because on front impact they're going to go forward. They could do a lot of damage to their neck. So please, if you see this piece, it should be attached and used. This is a high back seat. It's recommended for almost every vehicle we have. It adjusts on the back. Most of them have just a little thing you pull to meet the needs of our children who are not 4'9". Come September, you're going to get a lot of kids in your program who are under 40 pounds. This particular car seat was purchased by a family last year when their child attended here that was not 40 pounds. It has a different kind of strapping mechanism, and it's adjustable according to the child. So this being a high child, this being a super short child. When you put a child in here, this piece is meant to, I should have brought a table out. This piece is meant to go across the child's chest. This piece is meant to go between their legs. Most times, the child can do that piece themselves, so you're not in that awkward place. They're pretty good at, by kindergarten, to be able to lock that piece. It is your responsibility to make sure this one is locked and it's armpitted. Just take your finger, run it across the child's chest, and that's where it should be locked. In the winter months, all kids come bundled with lots of coats and scarves. They need to be unbundled to get in your vehicle, buckled in, and then when you get there, you can bundle them back up and send them off to school. On impact, the jackets, puffy out here. On impact, it squishes them in. This now becomes too big, and the child can eject from the top of the seatbelt. So making sure that they're not completely bundled when you buckle them. For this one, for shortening this one to make it tight, it's done on here. This will allow the child to have more space, or to tighten it so it's snug on their chest. It should be 2 fingers that you can fit between the seatbelt and their chest, and the crotch piece will automatically fit once you tighten this. That will just snug it up to where it should be. Some of our 5-point harnesses are a little bit more complicated. They're all adjusted down here or on this side. But this piece is still the same. It still fits in your armpit. Children who are 40 pounds must legally be in these. So in September, when you get your kindergarten children who started with you, is you should be weighing them. If they're not 40 pounds, the parent is to provide you with a 5-point harness booster seat. The agency will not provide them because each seat needs to meet the needs of that child. You could have a child who is not 40 pounds but really tall, might need something a little bit higher. You might have a child who is super tiny, and these have to be adjusted. It is not our responsibility to adjust those and provide the seat. My suggestion is, if you can get the parent to buy the seat and leave it with you, because if you take this seat from the parent on Monday morning, you have it to driving school, you have it coming back. Monday night, they pick up child, they pick up seat, they leave, and they've been into an accident. Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning they show up, they bring you the seat back. You can't guarantee the seat has not been damaged. So if you get into an accident and it was to come back, well, the back piece of this seat cracked and stabbed through the child's back, but my impact wasn't that hard. But the seat had been in an accident the day before, and the parents don't always tell you. So it's important that if they're 5-point harness kids, you ask for a seat to be left at your facility. Then you know where it's been, you've installed it, you've looked after it. Each 5-point harness, the old days, used to just slide the seat belt through here and buckle it. That's how they buckle the 5-point harness. Nowadays, they have this contraption, which I actually took it out so you can see it better. This contraption goes through the back of the seat, just like that one is, and it hooks into 2 little metal bars. They're in every seat. I'll show you, if anybody's unsure of it, I'll show you where they are on the buses after. They're to be clipped in this way. So in and pull. Don't flip them, mainly because it's so hard to get out, and it also puts tension on this when you're pulling it, and I've noticed one of them on a parent's is broken, so I've asked her to replace it. So make sure it's going in that way. To tighten that, the way to tighten a seat belt, once it's in the seat and you've got this through, is to put your knee into it. I'm right-handed, so I always like to make sure it's that way. And then that will be on its thing, and then you want to make sure you pull this as tight as you can pull it so this seat doesn't move. For people who are a little bit taller, it's hard to get into some of our vehicles. There's always usually a staff that's a little bit shorter can get in. Ryan and I have a great deal. He puts them all in because they're heavy, and I buckle them because I'm smaller. It works really well. We work as a team, and then they're also double checked. So we know, then Ryan goes around, shakes them, we know they're done and they're done well. Preferably, if you're interested, you should get the training. ICBC puts on a training on how to install booster seats. If you're interested, I can make sure that we get in touch with ICBC and do another training. That's a 5-point harness. This one, like I said, it's a little bit more complicated. Some of the 5-point harnesses will have a base that is adjustable, and that means you can have the child sleeping position or sitting upright. Those do not fit in our bus. So when you're talking to your parents, make sure you explain to them if they're buying one, don't buy the adjustable sleep position 5-point harness, because they don't fit in our buses properly. Anybody have any questions about booster seats? I got tickets for good questions.
What's the back strap for?
Good question, Michelle. This is called a tether strap. So in order to use a 5-point harness correctly, and I pulled too tight on this one, this goes over the seat, and usually it's at the bottom of the seat, and sometimes it's in the floor. Some of the minivans it would be in the floor. It goes over, it snaps on, and you just pull this tight. And this should sit so that the back of the seat is against the back of the seat in the vehicle. That's called a tether strap, if anybody's asking. All our vehicles have at least 2 5-point harness seats available. In the big buses, there's 4. They're the first 2 aisle seats. In the minivan, this van and 15 passengers, there's usually 2 to 3, depending if the third row in a 15 has it. And in minivans, there's usually 4. Sometimes only 2 if you don't have a bed, or if you have buckets in the back. If it's 4 buckets, sometimes the back 2 don't have them. The Ford, I think the Ford doesn't have them. Anything else? Questions about seats? Everybody comfortable? Remember, when you're the driver, you're responsible. When we load kids into a vehicle and Ryan's driving and I've put all his seats in and I've made sure all his kids are buckled, he goes out on the road, gets into an accident, touch wood, that's not going to happen, Ryan's liable, not me. So he has to know I got his back when I'm doing them. If you're unsure and you're don't know who you're working with, you're not really sure how it was done, check and double check, because ultimately the driver is 100% responsible for their passengers. The agency is there to support you, but if it's a liability, you're responsible for it. We'll go on to loading vehicles now with kids. My suggestion is the driver stands out here, watches every kid goes in. There's been some damage to one of our vehicles with pens, and since I've seen that damage, you guys all know from working at Chase River, when you get on my bus, there's nothing in your hands. No toys, no pens, no paper, no books, no nothing. You get in, everything's in your backpack goes under the seat, and then they sit down and buckle up. As the driver, it's my job to check every seat belt, making sure that they're all in there tight. Sometimes kindergartens will sound like it clicked, and it doesn't really click. So make sure you're double checking as the driver. When you're in a parking lot and you're loading and you're taking kids off the bus, make sure you're loading and you're having them line up here, never to the front of your vehicle. Have them line up on this side until you can safely move them to where you need to go. If you're crossing a parking lot, and over 17 years, I've kind of seen it, leader sandwich is the best, a tight leader sandwich. So if leader's up here, leader's down there, there shouldn't be much space in between you getting across the parking lot. Pre-tripping and post-tripping of vehicles is your responsibility as the driver. Post-tripping is hugely important. Nothing worse than coming in the morning and you're pre-tripping and the night before, the van is a mess. So making sure post-tripping, it says right on there, that all the belongings are off the vehicle. So making sure backpacks, coats, sweaters, water bottles, all come off the bus, and they're put in your lost and found until it's picked up the next day. When you put them to bed at night, it is your job to make sure you do a walk around and check to make sure there's no scratches, no dents. We park in school parking lots. Lots of times you can get a little ding. Make sure you're recording that. If you get into an accident, everybody knows accident policy. If you get into an accident, you phone first head office or your manager, and you exchange information with the other driver. You don't have any conversation about whose fault, who did what. Just exchange information. It will be dealt with from head office. If you have children in the vehicle, you want to make sure you put your cones out. Leave them in the vehicle. Don't take them out until it's absolutely safe, or you've been directed by the RCMP or the ambulance to bring them off. Please don't unload them on the highway. just stay put. Make sure you make those phone calls. I think that's it about parking lots. We'll just kind of do a quick walk around our vehicle and just sort of things that you're looking for. Even after you've pre-tripped and you're out and about and halfway through the day you've gone to the park and now you're leaving again, it's good to take a complete walk around. We'll just do a quick walk around and I'll show you what things we're looking for. Your lighting is still intact. You have no flat tires. Nobody's let the air out of your tires. Your windows are all still intact, just like you do a pre-trip. And again, across the back, making sure all your lighting is working. License plate, make sure nobody has stolen your decal, because sometimes it happens in playgrounds and parking lots. So we're a good target for things like that. Again, on this side, and just checking your gas cap if you've left your vehicle for a while during the day, that your gas cap hasn't been tampered with, so that nobody's siphoning in anything. And again, just this side. And that's how you just do a quick walk around before you leave the parking lot if you've been at a playground somewhere during the day. Any questions about that? All good? You guys know it well. As far as everybody knows where the 5-point harness hooks are in the bus and in the minivan, everybody knows where they are? Okay, we're good. I think that's it. You guys got it well.